In the first second, we have seen many. This is an artistic representation. If we can go to its beginning or to loop it up. Yes, here you see there are many rays, magnetical rays or fields. We call these plasmatic magnetical fields, which are magnetical rays which are already free, independent of their source. And these usually come in packets. I remember that slide which said that plasma can be made of millions and millions of such fields. So this short animation just shows one elementary moment of the creation, but it's not showing the full creation of a plasma. For that, please try to get a copy of Mr. Cash's book number 1, The Universal Order of Creation of Matters, where in the first 3 chapters you will find more in details how plasma is formed. So they are not just 2 fields, but you have to understand 2 fields of similar or near similar strength will interact. But there are many others, some with smaller strength, some with bigger strength, and these will interact too. Sometimes they combine 2 smaller in order to match the strength of a stronger.
Sandor?
Yeah.
You're taking all my information for the next workshop.
No problem. So this is just to introduce the people that will find out more next week.
Yes, I've introduced us now, and then for the next workshop, where we're doing the plasma, we'll be going to looking into a lot more detail on the makeup of these magnetic rays, and as you were explaining all the details there.
Yes. So you see, you know, from chemistry that there are so many chemical substances which are combined in different shape and form from different elements. And what's the basis of this combination? It's somewhere a matching in the terms of field strength. So that determines which will match with that. And also in this creation of specific elements, it's a common denominator somewhere, which is the equal or near equal field strength. So that would be the shorter answer to the question we have got from Nicolas Morrow. Are you from Mexico? Or no, New Mexico?
From New Mexico. So the question still is maybe this question. We're speaking of these fields being formed of magnetic rays. Well, are there gravitational rays?
So ultimately, gravitation comes out of the interaction of the magnetical rays. So you have to understand such a magnetical ray that it's not something that is something just a positive or some negative or some just a north quality or a south quality or a giver or a taker, because those aspects are present in every one. And depending on the interaction, then you can obtain an attraction, which we call gravitation, or we can get a repulsion, or which we call a magnetical property. So ultimately, gravitation, it's the result of the interaction of magnetical fields and nothing more. So this is the part of the unified field theory of Merantava-Golay-Keshe.
So you're saying that you can have a magnetic field without gravitation?
I'm not saying that in those words. Attraction.
But that's the words you were using.
Let me say attraction or repulsion.
Okay.
Attraction we call gravitation. Repulsion we call in the new terms of this new science and technology magnetical.
Okay, so then when we're using the term that we're operating within magnetic fields, we should be really saying that we're operating within Margrav fields.
Yeah, think about a tube which has a fan inside, and it makes a flow of air inside. So on one end it takes, and on the other end it gives. So that's the property of any magnetic array. It's like an arrow. It has a point, and it has the back of it with the fletching, and it has a direction. Now, in one direction, so it's the same entity, but it has two ends, and it has different observable effect at both ends.
We'll be going into much more detail in the further workshop on those.
We will come back to this grace to Jim's hard work on the next couple of weeks.
Very good. Thank you. And
I'm very glad that you have a lot of thirst for more knowledge.
Good.
And we will go to that knowledge, but step by step for everybody to be able to follow. We have to go at a speed which is acceptable for the average. Because for some it's too slow, for some it's too fast.
very good. So this question of individuation, then we will look at later.
Yeah, individuation comes from similarity of the field strength and nothing else. And then these elementary bits are combined into more complex shapes and forms. And again, you see, we have a common denominator with other animals, but we individuate as men based on similarity.
I see that. So, one of the questions here is this aspect of form and function, that something forms, comes into forms or comes into a matter state, and it has a function, and which one precedes the other. For instance, the heart is an organ, but it only comes into existence because the energetic is there, the function is there that calls it into form. And I just was sensing that there's another principle here that organizes the fields. I don't want to call it a soul element yet, but there's something that organizes the fields into plasmas or groups of plasma energies, even though we begin with an atom or we begin with amino acids.
We will get to that too.
But okay, I'll let it go for now. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We have to know that always when we talk about the plasma, we cannot study it as itself, separate it from the environment, but also in its relation with its environment.
Yeah, it always has to be considered in what environment it is. And every environment has that different magnetic or gravitational strength here on Earth, even different positions on Earth.
Yeah, I think the idea of positive positioning comes in there as well. It's integrated into that whole thing very much. So everything has a positive position, an individual position according to its center, its plasma center.
Look at a piece of cubic sugar, a cube of sugar. How it is? It is sweet, of course, and it is solid. but it is solid until you put it into the hot tea. So always the environment makes an interaction with the entity. And that interaction will determine finally which shape it will have. So the shape of the plasma is determined by the balance of its internal magnetical and gravitational fields and the balance of internal and external gravitational fields of the environment.
I've got a great example I can show. It's a 1-minute video I did with interaction of two balls in a specific environment. Let me show that here. I think it might be applicable. Okay, I think you can see that now.
Yes. Yeah, it comes in good.
Okay, let me play it. I think it's an interesting and fun example of the interaction of fields here. We have two individual entities that are positioning themselves according to each other and their environment, and interacting with the environment and each other, and it's not quite done yet.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Having a lot of fun there.
Yeah, it's almost like they're living entities when you see a couple of, there's a final little turn in that one. When you see these as plasmatic entities interacting with plasmatic fields, then you can understand that it's a matter of the conditions of the environment as well as the internal factors of that particular entity. And so the same as humans in our environment, we're in a way subject to our environment, and we also create our environment at the same time. So we're creating fields and working with the fields, and always interacting and moving to another position according to our interactions.